Jordan Pickford.
Jordan Pickford, eh, Blues? That's a talking point. That is a big, big talking point. Jordan Pickford is at the centre of most conversations about Everton at the moment, if you hadn't noticed. There's lots of talk about him on GrandOldTeam and lots of debate about him on Twitter, especially after the Newcastle game. So this is a really intriguing one for me, and I'd love to get a consensus from you underneath this video after you've watched it on what you think that I say, whether or not you think that's correct, and I will endeavour to respond to every comment like I try to do on this channel. So, first of all, let's start off with them goals against Newcastle then. Now, Jordan Pickford he's not solely responsible for either of them, okay? I just kind of want to clarify that. I don't. However, that's not me saying that he doesn't deserve any of the blame, because he does. I mean, he does. So let's go over it. The first one, it's a corner in, and he comes out and he tries to punch it. Now, if he makes a connection on that, fantastic. He hopefully clears it far enough. Everton break, and the game then is won, right? However, he doesn't, and it's not the cleanest attempt at a punch. But sometimes players get in your way. I don't know. Maybe he misjudged that, and the ball comes out and it's a decent finish. All right, you can go back to the punch, the attempt at the punch, and say, well, you shouldn't have done that. But he had a call to make. So I'm not sure about that one. Now, the second one, that's chaos. Once the ball goes into the box, and as I said on the video after the game, and that was only I had only seen the goal, once. But I said in the video after the game, I said, I wasn't happy with Davis and Holgate kind of looking at the ball, getting a bit, I think, like rabbit in headlights towards the ball. Comes over the top, the lad knocks it across, and then it's just once the ball's in the box in that situation, in the last dying embers of that football match, when the team losing have just got one back and they're in the ascendancy, that's a recipe for disaster. Now, a lot of people have taken that whole freeze frame of Pickford when he's behind the line. It looks silly. If it wasn't Everton, I'd have laughed my head off, but it was, so I didn't. But it looks really silly. But I think that's a bit unfair on him. I think that one's less so his fault, actually, ironically, in my opinion. Now, you can let me know if you agree or you disagree with that. But ultimately, the point of this video is, what are we going to do with Jordan Pickford? Is Jordan Pickford a long-term solution for Everton Football Club? Because when we signed him, we thought that he was that. He came from Sunderland, terrific pedigree. I think he'd been playing since he was about 16, 17 at Sunderland. He was thrown in really young, due to the fact that the lack of resource that they had up there, played a lot of football for a young goalkeeper. And he turned up at our place with, I think, a lot of us, we'd seen him. He'd had to face a barrage of shots every single game playing for Sunderland when they were in the Premier League. And we looked like a very good prospect. And in his first season, he was fantastic. But he has this issue where, I'm not saying anything controversial here, where it's evident sometimes that the game plays him. And he loses his head in certain games, one of them being whenever Everton play Newcastle. Again, not a controversial statement. That is exactly what happens. And some people say to me, because I was speaking to somebody the other week about this, and they said, goalkeepers always need to be a bit mental. And that's like a cliche that's allocated to goalkeepers. They always have to be a bit mental. But I don't think that's right. I don't think they do have to be mental. In fact, actually, I think goalkeepers are potentially the last position on the pitch that you need a player to be a lunatic. Because mental, to me, if you're talking in the context of on a football pitch, is players who are erratic, right? Goalkeepers can't be erratic. What goalkeepers need to be, and this is where I think people make a massive mistake, what goalkeepers need to be is brave. And that's what they mean by mental, I think. They say, you think about it. Think about some of the best keepers in the Premier League down the years. Let's stick with the Premier League because my knowledge of the European game isn't great. I mean, I know the obvious ones, Buffon or whatever, Neuer and all these boys. But let's just stick to the Premier League. So you've got the likes of David Seaman, not a lunatic, right? Very sensible goalkeeper, okay? High IQ goalkeeper. Peter Schmeichel, brave, not a lunatic though. Not really. Fabian Barthez was a lunatic in the sense that he would go steaming out and find himself in positions that he shouldn't have really been in. Peter Schmeichel didn't. I mean, he made mistakes. Every goalkeeper does, but he didn't. Nigel Martin, another one. We saw him at Everton. Terrific goalkeeper. Smart goalkeeper. Brave goalkeeper. Not a lunatic. And then our very own Neville Southall. I think where this cliche resonates with Evertonians about goalkeepers being a bit mental, right? And I'm sure, I think, maybe Nev might have commented on this before, but we buy into that because Neville Southall's eccentric. And we think he's a bit, with respect to Nev, I've met the guy, name drop, I've interviewed the guy, double name drop. I love the guy, he's an Everton legend, but with respect, he is a little bit mental, right? He's eccentric. Sorry, he's not mental, he was brave. But he wasn't a silly goalkeeper, and you can't be to be a good goalkeeper, is my overriding point. And I think sometimes with Jordan Pickford, what we see from him is silliness. He loses his head. You can think of many, people cite the game up at Newcastle last season, fannied around, let Newcastle back into the game. We lost that game. So, and other people mention his height as well. People talk about his height to me, and they say, is he tall enough to be a goalkeeper? I've had people say that to me. But I think the modern keeper is quite tall. But Neville Southall was probably the same height. In fact, Neville Southall might have been, I think maybe Pickford's probably about 6'1". Well, Neville Southall can't be far off that. He's at least 6 foot, I'd say. So, Wikipedia, have a little look how tall he is and let me know who is the tall one. But they're roughly the same. Surely they're roughly the same. There can't be much in it. Right? Pickford might be 6'2" at maximum. He's not any taller than that. So height's not an issue for me, for a goalkeeper, within reason. You can't be Bernard size, be a goalkeeper. I get that. So height is, so it is, for me, it's the way that Jordan Pickford manages games. Now, I'm going to make the point and the case for Jordan Pickford here. That element of his game, he can work on. He can work on that. That's a mindset thing. He's just got to be aware of not getting lost in that. And there'll be people better qualified than me that will be able to assist him with that, obviously. At the football club, they employ sports psychologists. I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's something that they're flagged and they're working on. But that's something that he can change. Because I don't actually think he's not a bad goalkeeper. He's really not a bad goalkeeper. In fact, he's a very good and competent goalkeeper. I think he's terrific. His shot stopping is exceptional sometimes. His distribution's a strange one because when he came, we thought that he could play football. That's not great. However, at times it's been okay. So again, that's something else that I think he can work on. But I think Jordan Pickford has the fundamentals, and that's why personally for me, as an Evertonian, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Because we've seen him be very good, and I think he's got enough in his locker now. There's a bit of pressure from him for the England jersey. There's a couple of good keepers at the moment starting to appear, the likes of Tom Pope. There's a couple of others as well. There's one at Sheffield United, Heaton is it? And then there's another one as well knocking around. I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, there's a bit of pressure on him for that jersey at the moment. And I think if he carries on going the way he's going and he plays for England, he might be the reason that England don't win the European Championships, because they've got a terrific side now, without spending too long on the national side, because lots of you won't give a shit about the national side. But they've got a very good side, but Jordan Pickford might be the weak link there. So if he continues in the form that he is in. However, I do think that the issues that Jordan Pickford has, he can rectify. He can work on these things. I think they're rectifiable issues. And if he manages to do that, he can be a terrific goalkeeper for us. David Hughes did a fantastic article recently on him in the Echo. I advise that you go back and check it out. And it spoke about how his clean sheets. When you look at Pickford's clean sheets and you take that statistic in isolation, you think, he's not had a bad season. But David goes on to explain how that isn't necessarily the best metric for a goalkeeper, because a goalkeeper, he didn't keep many clean sheets when he was Sunderland goalkeeper. Everton signed him off the back of that because of the quality that he showed, right? So ultimately, you as a keeper, you're only really as good as your back line. If you've got a terrible back line, you're getting peppered all the time. You're going to concede goals. Doesn't matter how good you are, really. But what David does is he breaks down. He looks at XG, which is a metric that what's the quality of the shot. And the quality of the shot, if you look at Pickford through the lens of XG, he concedes too many shots that are average quality shots that he shouldn't concede, and that's where the concern lies with him this season, and that's something that again that he has got to rectify. And I'm sure, as David mentions in the article, which I advise you go back and look at it on the Echo, Ancelotti will be well aware of, and Ancelotti will have to make a decision in the summer. But the issues that I think Pickford has at the moment are perfectly rectifiable issues, and therefore, hopefully, he should be able to rectify them. But so let me know what you think in the comments below. What are we going to do about Jordan Pickford? Would you keep him, or would you look at bringing in another goalkeeper? We've got that lad that we've brought back for the Portuguese kid that we brought back from Reading. There might be a good young keeper there. Would you go out into the market? If so, who would you try and sign? So let me know in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching Grand Old Team. I'm Adam Partington. You can find me on Twitter at @partadam and Instagram at @partadam. And remember to head over to GrandOldTeam.com too. Thanks for watching.